Alright guys, Anthony from Anthony's Customs back with one more custom figure review for the day. As I mentioned in my other videos, this is my custom of Nova. Been wanting to make this guy for a long time, and I'm just now finally getting around to it. Finally somebody commissioned it, so that gave me a little incentive, obviously. I really like the character design on this guy. I gotta admit, I'm not too familiar with the character itself, but the design I think is just an awesome design. So I was really glad to finally make one. The base figure is an X-Men Classics Wolverine. I think it was Ninja Wolverine. I don't know. They have all those goofy different versions of the characters, so I'm not 100% on that. But it was one of those Wolverines. It was black and red, if that helps. And I did a lot of sculpting. I didn't use any other parts for that guy from other characters, just that guy. So his arms, legs, everything. And then a lot of sculpting. The head is a I actually dremeled down the Wolverine head completely, so it was just like a nub on top of the ball joint. And then I hollowed out a Clint Barton head from the Ronin figure, and I re-sculpted the helmet on top of that, and I fit that over the Wolverine nub so that I could still use the original joint without doing too much work to the actual joint. And all I had to do was just fit this over the existing head that was remaining, and it worked perfectly. And this was all hand sculpted. The star was particularly taxing, but I think it turned out pretty good, so I was pretty pleased with that. And the helmet too, a lot of different sections were sculpted at different times and then blended together, and obviously sanded and painted. But I was really pleased with how that turned out. So let me know what you guys think. But I'm quite happy with how it looks. Same thing for the rest of this. Almost all of this stuff, excuse my stuttering, almost all of these things were sculpted in various stages. For example, the chest pieces, the little diamond-shaped thing was sculpted, and then I reshaped that and sanded it and reshaped and sanded it. Then I added this sphere or the disc on top of that, and so on and so forth. Same thing with that one. Then I added this one. I built the gold part first, the little disc underneath. Then I put the one that's white now on top of that, and the shoulders, for example, I built this horizontal part, and then I added this on top of it. The wrists were particularly fun. What I did was I built just the regular band that spins around with the wrist, that part, and the little triangle on the front. Then I built the forearm armor on top of it, but I left a gap, hopefully you can see that, so that the wrist still spins freely inside, and it allowed me to connect the fin here, the armor there, basically connect it to the wrist part without actually having it connected, so it always looks like it's continuous and it flows nicely. And it allowed me to let this connect there. And I hollowed it out inside to fit on the elbow, fit over the elbow, so that you can do that with it without getting anything in the way. The belt, I just basically sculpted the belt part, and then I sculpted the part in the middle. No big deal there. I did the shin armor just like I did the forearm there. Not this part here, but just the part with the elbow, and then I did the same thing with the kneecap, so that it kind of recesses inside the armor, and it allowed me to build the armor the way I wanted it without having to worry about the knee joint getting in the way. I know a lot of people just like kind of cut this here and build the triangle part. I'm sorry, they cut the shin armor at the top of the shin and then build the triangle tip part on top of the knee. I didn't want there to be a break when you bent the knee, so I wanted to sculpt it like this, and I was pretty pleased with how that worked out. I wasn't sure if it was going to work, but I think it did. And then I just sculpted it at the bottom to allow for the foot to move, and there you have it. The overall, the bulk of this guy obviously was the sculpting. The body was pretty much good the way it was. I know it's not technically right, you know, the lines on the stomach and whatnot, but it was more than good enough in my opinion. You get the idea that it's Nova. And after all the sculpting was done, I think it turned out pretty well. The hands, I just sculpted the band part that went around the hand, and then obviously I put the disc on top of that. For the back, I did the star. I had to sculpt each one of those pieces individually and then reshape them and cut them and sand them. But it turned out pretty good. It's not, you know, 100% perfect, but it is hand sculpted all by hand, so give me a little slack if you notice something that's not quite the way it should be. But I think it turned out pretty close. What else? Oh, for the little discs, in order to make them look like they're lighting up for his Nova ports or whatever you would call those, I painted them all black first. get it into focus. I painted them all black. And then on top of that, I painted everything white, so it was a nice smooth white. And then I used a diluted, like a robin's egg blue type of color, and just went around the edges with that. And I kind of feathered it, so it's not exactly a smooth line. I wanted it to look like kind of like the way the sun looks on the surface, the way it's like molten and kind of moving all the time. So hopefully, I don't know if it's actually picking up in the camera, but you can see that the lines aren't completely straight. And I know it sounds like I'm just painted them poorly, but it's uniformly not uniform, if that makes any sense. So hopefully you guys get what I'm saying there and can see it. I don't know. There, maybe you can see it even though it's darker. It's uneven, but it's still symmetrical. I don't know how to say it without making it sound like I just screwed up and I'm trying to cover it, but I did it on purpose, I promise. And hopefully you can see it and know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I wanted to look like it was actually lighting up, so I did that, and then I used a gloss paint on top of all the white and the blue, just to make it look really shiny. And I put gloss on top of his star on his mask as well, just to tie it into the helmet. But he retains all of his articulation, obviously. Nothing was hindered there at all. So there it is. There's my Marvel Legends 6-inch Nova. I wish we had a figure of this guy that wasn't absolutely horrible like the one we got in the Nemesis wave. Hate that figure. And I really would love to have one like this, because I think Nova, like I said, is a really cool looking character. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. I'm really pleased with how this turned out. I had to resculpt this part of the leg over here where there was a pouch connected. So if you guys are going to do that, keep that in mind. But that's about it. So I did gold for the armor, obviously, and then just like a semi-gloss blue. I dry brushed 3 different colors of blue on top of a black base coat for that. So there you have it. Alright, thanks for watching. Keep an eye out for more custom figures and for more figure reviews. And in the meantime, keep collecting.